In painting, a lot of the power comes from having hard and soft edges. And there are times when we're painting, like this student partway through in-process painting, and where she's painted a lot of hard edges, which make architecture, and even sharp and hard edges for trees. But when you leave a hard and sharp and high contrast edge at the periphery, and it isn't a part of contributing part to the scene, it steals from the remainder of the painting. It's too powerful. So you need to soften edges. And when this happens, and it happens to all of us, the tools that are used are scrubbers. These are Fritz. There are other versions of these scrubbers, and they come small, medium, not here, larger, even larger. And they are used when the paint has dried and there's an edge that you wish were not hard and sharp, like this edge. So, I have this scratch sheet here I'm going to demonstrate. One of the key things with the Fritz scrubber is that you need to use lots of water. And that's an operative word. Students are saying, that much water, when I'm saying. But if you do not add a lot of water and think that you put the water down and start scrubbing right there, you will end up abrasing the paper, making it rough, and essentially ruining the painting. You need lots of water. So it's going to be, if I want to soften this hard edge on this little trial tree and make part of it softer, I might think about it in thirds, 1, 2, 3, at a 1/3 position, softening some of that tree. This is artistic license coming in. Water, at that point, I put some water down and very light pressure. So the operative words are lots of water and modest pressure. Don't bear down on the brush. 2, 3, 4, 5. We're doing modest pressure in one spot, back and forth, and we're doing it along the edge, and all of a sudden we have a softer edge. So it's hard and soft. And that's the way it goes. So you need to do that. If you don't use enough water, you'll end up bearing down to make it work, and you'll end up with a painting you're not liking. So whether it's here or at the edge of a painting that you've forgotten somehow while you were busy painting the remainder, there are always times when this is needed. So add to your arsenal of brushes the scrubber, and know that you need to use a lot of pressure and a lot of modest pressure and a lot of water. Get this right. I'm going to use the larger scrubber version. There's a nice dark edge. Let's say we wanted to soften a portion of that edge. So water along the edge, almost no pressure at all at the beginning. 2, 3, 4, lots of water. 5, let it sit. But we're only going to the same spot with the brush back and forth. And then paper towel and lift. All of a sudden that whole hard edge has gone. And when we have hard to soft edges, we begin to get life into the paintings. So these brushes are useful at many stages. I'll also mention, and we'll demonstrate it later, that near the end of a painting, what you're doing is darkening the darks and lightening the lights to get a greater range, because there's a tendency, both from the painter and from watercolor, to make them more uniform, less varied than they should be. So if we're going to lighten this dark area in the painting, we can add it down. Again, 3, 4, 5, 6. Lots of water. You can use circular motions if you need to. And we can lighten a whole section of that painting so it has more life. It's dark to light. This is lightening portions of the painting, especially when it's light, making it lighter so it disappears. That light paint, if we add water, 2, 3, we can lighten the edge, and it kind of blends right into the white, dark to light, which is really what you're after. That's also true on the tree over here. Water at the edge. Notice that I'm going along the edge and I haven't said yet, but best do that, when the brushes are larger especially, they have a flatter and a thinner side. You want to be using the thin side along the edge, horizontal, and again, repeating, modest pressure. Resist the urge to bear down with the scrubber. So, scrubber is your friend. Get them for the arsenal. Essentially, everybody needs them to finish paintings and to soften edges as you go. I'm going to do one more piece. So, I'll mention that this is the painting that's underway, and it's nearing being completed. Partly done already, but if we look at the ridgeline and we look at the barn, there's a difference. The barn, because it's the subject, has sharper edges and maybe higher contrast. Pure white versus a blue to a gray, and darker brown, so that we end up with higher contrast, straighter lines, sharper lines. This ridgeline, if it were as sharp as this, would be competitive. We see ridgelines in nature, without knowing it, as soft. I've already softened some of this ridgeline, but there's a particular place to go. The painting becomes segment and piecey if all of the edges are equally sharp. We want to reserve the sharp edges for the focus and soften the others. So we have a bit of a sharp edge here. I've already softened that edge. I can do it just a bit more with a fair amount of water and very light pressure, and take another section so the edge disappears. The scrubber is going with the thin edge along the edge, and we're doing just at the edge. We're not going into the background. And if we have a sharp edge at the edge of the painting, we can soften that edge so our eye doesn't get distracted out to the edge of the painting. So what I've done now is added additional interest to that skyline and additional softness. So it really is non-competitive with the barn. So these scrubbers are useful in lots of places along the way. They are also useful for lightening. I've managed to get a nice dark to light on the edge of this barn, but we can end up going with the marks of the barn by doing some vertical strokes that lighten some of the barn boards. We'll go back over them just slightly, same places, and lift, and the barn has more life to it. And so near the end of a painting, lightening the lights and darkening the darks within a context of already gradation painting, you end up with life. That can happen also in the forest scene by lightening the lights. There's a light section there. We can make it just slightly lighter to add more life near the tree. Maybe a little piece, water, lightning, so it adds more life in that zone. And a third. So I'm doing, with the softening, Mama, Pop, and Baby. This is Dad. He's sizable. So it's a bigger area of lightening. Mom, medium size, and Baby, little guy. And so we end up with life in the focus zone, more than was there. So the end of a painting is always lightening and darkening. The darker part, you can imagine, will become and make it, even some of these even darker. So there's greater interest in the focus zone. So exercise scrubbers, first get them, have a full range, small, medium, large, and lots of water. Use them with moderate pressure and have clean paper towels. We didn't get around to mentioning that, but each time I'm terming this so we have a clean paper towel. Thank you.